Niching is a deceptively simple business tool or skill or strategy. Everybody thinks they know what niching down is. People will often think they're niched down enough, but in reality, they're not nearly as focused as they need to be. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can grow your time, your revenues, and your profits to 7 figures and beyond by practicing the art of deep niching. Don't go anywhere. So here's the question. In a world where the rules of business have been written by men, how do women entrepreneurs like us, women who want to make millions of dollars and impact millions of lives, how do we create enormous success on our terms? That's the question, and this show explores the answers. Welcome to Power Presence Position. I'm your host, Eleanor Beaton, and I'm on a mission to double the number of women entrepreneurs who generate over $1 million per year in annual revenue. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, author, and leadership coach. I'm a wife, mom of 2 boys, and I'm the CEO of a 7-figure business. Stick around because on this show, you'll learn how to think, communicate, and get paid like a 7-figure CEO. Let's go. Hey, it's Eleanor, and welcome back to the podcast. If you're a loyal, regular listener, then I hope you've been enjoying our series on the feminine in business. Now, there's still some interviews left in that series, but this has really been something we've been exploring over the course of this entire fall season, interviewing thought leaders and authors who are really bringing their voices, bringing their stories, bringing their expertise and insight to the business world and really sharing ideas on how we can bring more of our feminine selves into the business world. And if there's anything that I've learned from these incredible conversations, it's the power of trusting ourselves, the power of getting clear, and not just leaving it there, but actually committing to that path of self-trust and clarity. Now, today we're going to take sort of this idea of leaning into our feminine power, trusting ourselves, getting clear, committing to our path, and I'm going to infuse that with a practical, strategic, tactical, real-world business tool. And the tool that I'm going to share with you today is this concept of deep niching. So deep niching is a way of focusing in your business so that you are so clear, you are so focused, you are so committed to a core group of customers that the process of scaling your revenues becomes much easier. Super excited about this particular skill of deep niching. I have seen this skill again and again be the main thing that catapults female founders who are running service-based businesses from 1 or 200,000 to over $1 million. So really excited to share insights about deep niching with you here on the podcast today. Let's go. I was recently debriefing the last year with one of our clients. She runs a service-based business, and she really committed and went all in with this concept of a Juul business that we kind of espouse as a powerful mechanism to help female founders grow their companies. And of course, a Juul business, you can scroll back through the podcast. I talk about it a ton. But a Juul business is a model that we created at Safi Media to really help show a powerful path, a powerful and sustainable path of growth. And that growth is 30-30-30. So the Juul business model is a model to sustainably scale service-based businesses in a way that nourishes the planet, starting with the woman who runs that company. And so 30-30-30 means that her company is growing at 30% or more per year until such time as she wants to accelerate or decelerate that growth. She is achieving 30% profitability, and she has 30% open, unscheduled time. 30-30-30. This is the heart of the Juul business model. So this client built the Juul business model. So she came to us with a coal business model. She was making money, but she was working. Oh my goodness. She was pretty burnt out and stressed out and confused. And so again, by all means successful, had a good business. She was doing about $300,000 a year in annual revenue, but she was really working and she knew she wanted to grow more, but she didn't have any more to give, in terms of time or effort. So she actually first came into the Power Presence Position Business Accelerator, then went on to the incubator, but she built a Juul business. It was really a powerful thing to see. And she actually ended up scaling her revenue from $300,000 to over $1 million in just 1 year. So obviously, huge amount of growth. And here's the interesting thing. She didn't add any net new team members. She didn't add any net new offers. She has much more open time than she ever has at any point in her career as an entrepreneur or otherwise. And she did it by getting super focused and practicing deep niching. So you've heard of the concept of niching down. And so that's basically choosing like a group of people you're going to serve and getting clear about what you do for them. And we've talked about niching before. What's deep niching? So deep niching is taking the niche that got you to a couple 100,000 and getting even more focused so that you can scale past $1 million without overworking and without scaling complexity. So I've got 3 sort of micro lessons on deep niching, and I'm going to get into the next one right now. So the first lesson when it comes to deep niching is that the understanding, and what you need to understand is that scaling amplifies everything. So you've probably heard about how the spotlight amplifies your insecurities. And I've certainly felt that. Like as I started to do more public speaking and blogging earlier in my career, I definitely found that experience of being in the spotlight, I had to learn, it amplified my insecurities. It amplified all the things that I didn't like about myself. I had to really clean that stuff up inside me and accept myself and clean up that, that stuff in order to be able to accept attention. So you probably felt this on a personal level. Well, this also happens on a business level. I have lived to tell you the tale. Scaling amplifies everything. So if there are underlying issues in your leadership, if there are underlying issues in your business model, if there are underlying issues in your marketing, the process of scaling will bring all of those to light. I think it's what scares so many people about scaling. I think it's what makes it such a challenging experience. Like you have to become incredibly vulnerable to scale because the process of growth will reveal all the places inside your business that aren't quite right. And so the big challenge, is that as you're growing, it's sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because you're always going back to clean up the stuff and clean up the challenges that growth has revealed to you. And anybody who's gone through this process understands exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't gone through this process but are scared of it, you're smart enough to know how that works, So that's the challenging part of scaling. And what happens, like if you think your business is complex now, try adding more customers and team members. Right? If you think your business is complex now and you just add more customers and team members without simplifying the heart of your company, you've just scaled not only your revenues, but you scaled more than your revenues are your problems and headaches. That's what makes it so challenging. So I've certainly experienced this. I can remember in my very first business, which was a communications business, I sold services. So I sold communication strategy, high-level long-form writing, like all that kind of stuff. And I can remember having a super high revenue month. Like it was the highest revenue month I think I'd ever had in my business. And it was also my biggest professional low. I was late on projects. I was behind on my billing. I was having issues with contractors. They were amazing contractors. I wasn't giving them enough direction. It was just like I was behind on replying to emails from clients. It was a bit of a hot mess. And so what happened is that all the little problems in my business, like I didn't quite have the level of help I needed, probably needed more project management, didn't have an effective scheduling system. So I didn't sort of schedule out and stagger my projects. All of those got amplified by revenue. So it was really, really challenging. I didn't understand the process of deep niching. I wish I had had this podcast to listen to, because if I had, I would have known that the key to my growth wasn't working harder. The key to my growth was focusing harder. So part one in deep niching is to understand on a deep level that scaling amplifies everything. And scaling in particular will amplify the problems in your company that are created by complexity. So if you're serious about scaling your company in a sustainable way, i.e. scaling revenue, but also scaling your profit margin and also scaling your open time, then what you need to do is practice step 2 in this micro teaching. So now you know why deep niching is so important, because scaling amplifies everything, particularly complexity. So let's talk about how you practice deep niching. So deep niching happens when you choose a subsection of a focused market that you're already serving. And I have seen this again and again and again. So typically what happens, like when people come in to work with us in the Power Presence Position Business Accelerator, so this is where we do the deep niching, okay? And what will typically happen is that people will think that they're niched down, and they'll think, look, I think I've done my work around my ideal client avatar. I've already done my work around my messaging. I already have done my work around the niche. And I'm like, yeah, you have got all of that to a place that's capable of getting you to about 150, 200 grand a year. But if you're serious about scaling the service business past $1 million, you are not nearly focused enough. There is a refinement. Guys, scale is about focus and nuance, right? It's not about doing 1 million different things. It's about getting really clear and focused and making sure the heart of your business is incredibly clear so that you can scale your programs, you can scale your team, you can scale your marketing, you can scale your sales processes. That starts from deep niching. So deep niching happens when you choose a subsection typically of the market that you're already serving. Let me give you an example from my business. So what got me, when I started my business coaching company, I knew that I was going to serve women entrepreneurs. And then I, niched down to women who run service-based businesses. And then as I continued to scale, see, here's the thing that nobody talks about, but is so huge. There's tons of people talking about scaling up your marketing and lead generation and launch strategies and selling more and partnerships and like all this stuff. And so much attention is paid to scaling client acquisition. What we don't talk about enough is scaling the quality of your service delivery, which is notoriously difficult. And I realized myself, because I'm sensitive AF, okay, like very sensitive, that it was really important to me to be rock solid sure that the service delivery was excellent, like super high standards. Otherwise, I couldn't actually market and sell it. That was just this thing that I had. When people talk about minimum viable product and just have a minimal viable product, just have something that's halfway decent and put it out there. I'm like, okay, you guys all with your thick skin go do that. I'm way too thin skinned to do that. Like if people are not happy with it, I'm not doing that. They have to have exceptional results and service. So the reason that I'm telling you this is so that in the deepest part of you, that the key to scaling quality service delivery is choosing quality clients, right? Choosing quality clients. And when I say quality clients, I mean that in a loving way, not that one person is a better human than another, but that you are very ruthless about making sure the only people that are working with your company are very specifically high quality clients that you can get great results for. This is a huge foundation of deep niching, that you only work with the creme de la creme. All right. So, and creme de la creme for your business, not as humans. I just want to make sure that I'm not sort of suggesting that some humans are much better than others. I mean, there is that, but in general, it's about making sure that the people that you work with are perfect for your business. So that tolerance of imperfect customers, or not ideal, that tolerance has to go down if you want to scale quality service delivery. It's something nobody talks about, but this is massive. So deep niching is all about choosing a subsection of a larger market to focus on them. So back to my story, it was first entrepreneurs. Then I realized, no, it's not all entrepreneurs. It's service-based entrepreneurs. And then I realized, and it's not even all service-based entrepreneurs. It is women who are running 6-figure businesses, and we're going to help them make the path to 7 figures. And that's what it is. So I will have some private one-on-one clients. I have 5 one-on-one clients that I work with who are over $1 million in annual revenues. And that's kind of that's this thing that I do because I just love that work. But the heart of the work, the heart of the business is women going from 6 to 7 figures, right? That's just what that is. And we don't work with startups. They need to have existing businesses that are already kind of proven. Then we have a very specific expertise in helping take those women past 7 figures. And we know that only 2%, of women entrepreneurs scale past 7 figures in annual revenues. Our percentages are closer to 15%. Just to kind of give you a sense. So still, we got a lot of women who are doing multiple 6 figures who are not quite at 7 figures yet, but that's kind of how we look at it, that we have much higher proportions of women entrepreneurs who are scaling past $1 million in annual revenues in the time that they're working with us. And many, of course, go on to scale past that after they've already graduated. So that's what I'm trying to say. Really, deep niching is choosing a focused and specific subsection of a larger market. This is huge. This is about staying in your lane. And I think so many of us are sort of over helpers. We think that because we can help all these different types of people, we should. And that is what can keep your business from scaling, right? And here's the thing about deep niching is that what starts to happen is you start to develop as a company major expertise in that particular market. And in the next section, I'm going to tell you why that expertise is so incredibly valuable and the key to your sustained scaling. So let's get it. So we've talked about why scaling amplifies everything, including complexity. We've talked about how deep niching, many of you guys already have a niche. You think you've done it before. And I'm telling you, the niche that you have is capable of getting you to a couple 100,000 in revenue max. If you want to scale past $1 million, you're going to need to get a lot more focused. And so we talked about that component, choosing a subsection of a larger market. Well, in this section, I want to talk about the power, the market value of a specialized skill set. So deep niching, remember, is all about choosing a subsection of a larger market and becoming massively expert in that. So we are massively expert in helping women who run service-based businesses scale from 6 to 7 figures. We are not massively expert in helping women start from a standstill and get to 50, 60,000 in sales. In fact, I honestly think you just need to kind of go out and try to stay focused on your offer at that point. But if you want to go from 6 to 7 figures, that's a very specific skill set. And that's what we have cultivated over time and what allows me personally to have a Juul business. And it's also what allows our clients to have Juul businesses because they're so focused. So here's the thing. I want you to understand the market value of a specialized skill set. So it's not just that you are more focused and that's why you're able to scale. It's that the marketplace puts a premium value on specialized skill sets. People pay specialists much more. It's why a cardiologist makes more than a general, like a GP, a general physician, because the market always pays more for specialized skill sets. Agree or disagree, It's how we've been kind of conditioned. And I think it's something important to be aware of. When you are specialized, not only do you have the factor that it's easier for you to stay focused, your marketing is clear because you're so specific. People know what you do and you're not confusing them because you're so specific. It means people will pay you more because you have such a specific skill set. And it also means that it's much easier to hire and sort of train your team members and have them use their incredible expertise in your company in this specific, applied against the specific subsection of the marketplace. So all of those things are also why deep niching is important. But the final piece of this, is sort of pièce de résistance, is what we call the halo effect. Here's what we psychologically do. When somebody is good at something specialized and specific, that we call that an anchor skill, it creates a halo effect, meaning that we start to attribute unwittingly, unconsciously, all sorts of other good attributes to them. So here's an example. When somebody, let's take a tall man, right? There is a man and he is tall. That's the anchor. And we start to attribute to that man all these great leadership abilities, which is why you see a disproportionate number of CEOs of big companies are tall men, or like men over 5'11" or 6 feet. So agree or disagree, this is just something that happens. And guess what? It also coincides with you being able to bring even more focus. So let's roll with that. When you have a specific skill, that anchor skill, you really go deep on something, on an expertise around something, it starts to create this halo effect. Well, if they can do that specific thing, they must be really good. So scaling is all about going deep in order to go big, right? And so this is where I want you to really think about the practice of deeper niching. And don't tell yourself just because you were clear enough to get to 100,000 in sales or 80,000 in sales that you're clear enough that you're good. I'm promising you, no, you haven't done it the way that I'm talking about it, that this level of focus is so key. So, in this podcast, really going through the three sort of aspects of what we call deep niching. I have a resource that I wanted to recommend to you. It's called 7figureecosystem.com. And so this really shows you the model of a seven-figure service-based business and how it sort of shows you what the business model side of deep niching can really look like. So it's the number 7figureecosystem.com. Number www.7, the number 7figureecosystem.com. If you are listening to this and what I have laid out makes a ton of sense to you and you're in that place, you're like, look, I know what I offer. I know generally who I work with, but I'm really overworked right now and I'm not sure how I'm going to scale this business. Maybe I feel a little concerned about it. I'm not sure how I'm going to keep up with service delivery. I don't know what I need my model to look like. Then I would suggest that you check out the Power Presence Position Business Accelerator. It's an excellent program. We work with incredible women entrepreneurs and really help them put that foundation in place so they can ultimately scale the business. So go to powerpresenceposition.com. You can read it through and apply if you'd like to, if you're serious about it, you think it's a fit and would like to talk to us about moving forward. All right. I want to thank you so much for being here on the show, for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, to rate and review the show. That really helps the algorithm gods know who else to recommend this show to. Thank you so much, Queen. And we will see you back here next week with more of our Feminine in Business interview series. Okay, talk to you soon. If you love this show, then you will love even more my missives, i.e., my emails. If you're not on my email list yet, I strongly encourage you to sign up at eleanorbeaton.com/join. Now, when you go and sign up for my email list, you will quickly discover why some of the most popular, well-known, and influential voices in the world of women's entrepreneurship quietly, studiously, consistently open every single email I send out because they want to be inspired, they want to be entertained, and also I think they really want to connect with a woman like myself who's in full command of her voice and is willing to open up and share her thinking, her ideas, and her story. I promise you that on this email list, you are going to be entertained. You are going to hear really valuable tips about stepping into your power as a leader. And you're also going to get fun insight that I do not share anywhere else. Go to eleanorbeaton.com/join. And I promise you it will be the highlight of your inbox.